Hello, I'm Michael Tabb, and I want to talk to you today a little bit about the supporting characters. Now, we've already discussed protagonist and antagonist. The protagonist is the character who proves your premise through an inner journey, and then the antagonist is the character who is the main obstacle in your protagonist achieving their outer journey. The supporting characters are the three characters who support the protagonist's inner and outer journey. They are the love interest, the mentor, and the reflection character. Now, just so you know in advance, we're going to talk about the last two first. The mentor is a type of reflection character. Just like you have 5 fingers on each hand, but you only have one thumb, that thumb is the mentor. The mentor is the character that teaches the protagonist how to go about achieving their outer journey. Whereas the other reflection characters, all reflection characters are in support of the protagonist's outer journey and reflect what that protagonist is going through in trying to achieve the outer journey. The difference between a specific mentor character versus any other reflection character is that the mentor is the teacher in the situation, the teacher of the protagonist, teaching them the way to go, the example of how to be. And they teach the protagonist how to achieve their outer journey, versus all of the reflection characters merely comment on and support the outer journey of the protagonist. So they're linked, but the mentor, in a sense, is the thumb, while all reflection characters are fingers. So they're all fingers, but there's only one thumb, and sometimes two. But oh, there it is. And the thumb is the mentor character of the reflection characters. Now, your typical run-of-the-mill mentor is going to be someone like Mr. Miyagi in The Karate Kid, Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, Morpheus in The Matrix, the person who teaches the protagonist how to accomplish their outer journey. Now, it's also really important to note that one of the tricks of writing that most people don't teach you is that the protagonist is not always the central character of a film. The best example of this is when a mentor is sometimes the central character of a film. Chief examples of this are Saving Private Ryan and Back to the Future. What we have in Back to the Future is a character who goes back in time and accidentally interrupts his parents' first meeting. And by doing that, he creates a paradox in which this central character, his parents will not fall in love now, and he will never be born. So he has to fix that. So this character goes about trying to turn his own father, who was a wimp in the future, a real pushover, and turn him into the kind of man that his mom will actually fall for without her father hitting him with a car. He has to change who he is in order to be the kind of man who can stand up to Biff and win her heart. So what winds up happening is we are following the son and the son's character going back in time, and he is the one being the mentor to his own father, who's the one who has to change. Marty McFly goes back in time and changes who his dad was from his youth. And the father is the protagonist because he's the one going through the arc. In Saving Private Ryan, Captain Miller, played by Tom Hanks, has to lead a small crack group of soldiers behind enemy lines and rescue a young soldier by the name of Private Ryan and escort him back to safety behind Allied forces lines. So the job is to retrieve one guy. That's the mission, and it's led by Captain Miller. Now, Captain Miller is the mentor and the leader. There is a character in that unit who's under his command going with them, whose mission is to obviously fulfill the same mission in retrieving Private Ryan. His name is Corporal Upham. And Corporal Upham is the character who actually has a character arc. He is the character who, for the first half of the film, is constantly preaching mercy and lets a soldier go at some point who's from the enemy army, and then later, at the very end, his character arc is signified when he finds that man again, and then he actually executes him, which is something he wouldn't do earlier in the film. So Corporal Upham is the protagonist with the character arc, And the mentor and leader and teacher of this small crack platoon of men trying to save Private Ryan is Captain Miller. But Captain Miller is the central character, and that is the character we're following. So these are examples of two different movies that utilize the mentor as a central character. Sometimes in a feature film, there are up to two mentors in a film. Now, there can be two mentors to your protagonist, but when your protagonist is not your central character, a lot of the times that second mentor will be the mentor of the central character. In this case, the mentors have a mentor. So Marty McFly has Doc Brown, teaching him how to go about doing what he's trying to accomplish while he's teaching George McFly to change. And in the case of Saving Private Ryan, it's actually Private Ryan. Private Ryan is the one who, when Tom Hanks wants to give up and stop the mission and give up at the end, he's lost enough guys, and Private Ryan doesn't want to go home. It's Private Ryan who inspires Captain Miller to stick around and see the fight through so that he can accomplish his outer journey, which is to get Private Ryan home safely. So layering mentors is possible, but you never want more than two in a film. And the article on dual mentors explains the ways in which to use and why one would use two mentors in a story. Usually, even in a feature film, you keep it to one. In a short, you often don't have enough time to have a mentor, but in a feature, you have one, and on certain occasions, you could use two, because you can use a false mentor, and all that is explained in the articles. Make sure you look them up and understand the difference between what a mentor is and a false mentor, a love interest versus a lust interest. So we have mentors who are the teachers, and then we have the other reflection characters who are along in that journey. For example, in Private Ryan, all the other guys in that unit or platoon or whatever that group is, those guys are all reflection characters on the same journey as him. In Saving Private Ryan, the premise is that in war, mercy will get you killed. And in the end, the whole movie is a mission of mercy to save one guy. And then in the end, it gets Captain Miller killed. And along the way, every time they have to show mercy or they're showing mercy to somebody, somebody dies. It's not a question of whether mercy is a wrong thing to have. The question is in what situation does it become an impossible task? So that's what the movie's saying. You don't have to agree with it, but it's exemplifying what it's saying through the character arc of the protagonist and through what happens to the central character at the end of the movie. That leaves us with one more major and truly crucial member of the supporting character family, and that is the love interest. Now, the love interest does not have to be romantic. It's not like a romantic character, which is what is explained to you in some of your readings. And a lot of people talk about love interest like it has to be romantic. And most people think it does. And 99% of the time in the script, it is romantic. But the key trait, you have to define characters by what their job is in the actual script, not by what they happen to do in the scenes physically. This character's job, the love interest, is to get the protagonist to fulfill the character arc, the inner journey. The other characters supported the outer journey. This character, the love interest, is inspiring the protagonist's inner journey to change. So while the other supporting characters are helping with the outer journey and commenting on that in various different ways, you have a love interest who is promoting the inner journey to help that character change so that they can achieve the outer journey. The outer journey should not be able to be achieved unless that inner journey is accomplished. The love interest has a very specific designed purpose, just like the other characters. And that is, this character has to do things that inspire the protagonist to change internally and achieve that character arc during the course of the second act. The only way to get us to change internally is through love. We have to change our hearts in order to change our beings and how we behave. So the love interest, who through love somehow gets our protagonist to change who they are inside and have a character arc, that is the love interest. Some people change for the love of a child, for the love of a parent, for the love of friendships. The last thing I need to talk to you about regarding these supporting characters is that both the mentor and the love interest have trick characters in them, where they have a version of them that are actually the opposite of what that character is supposed to do. These are the false mentor and the lust interest. You think that they are, in a sense, the love interest and the mentor, but they are actually reveal themselves to be the opposite of that. And they are actually guiding the protagonist away from the arc they need to make or the journey they need to take. Now, I hope this answers a lot of your questions and gives you a lot of really cool information about the three major types of supporting character. Of course, I'm always here if you have questions.